did in the 80s.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 80s Allies. It's Larry, it's Jim, it's Larry. We have some heartbreaking news to bring you as far as people and the professions that they have. Jim, what did we just find out? Because this is like right now breaking news. We just discovered this.
I wouldn't say that it's right now breaking, but we just happened to notice that...
It's breaking for us.
Well, yes. So recently Hasbro made the announcement that they were doing some major layoffs. And apparently, it says here they were going to cut another 900 jobs globally.
On top of.
Nearly a year after the toymaker announced it would reduce 15% of its workforce amid weaker sales. And it said, to carry on here, it says it cut about 1,000 jobs, full-time positions. On Monday, the company said it already had cut 800. So a total of 1,800 to 1,900 people have been laid off from Hasbro. At the end of, let's see here, at the end of 2022, Hasbro employed about 6,400 people worldwide, according to a regulatory filing. The job cuts announced on Monday take the total layoffs to 1,900, or 29% of its workforce. Shares of the company were down about 6% in extended trading, while Barbie maker Mattel also slipped more than 1%. Good Lord. Consumers worldwide have struggled to cope with presently high inflation, forcing them to cut back on discretionary spending, such as toys, which is what the company, I guess, is citing for the layoffs that are taking place right now.
Thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts about this, and I'm going to apologize to Hasbro right now because I'm not going to be very kind about it. Here's my problem with this. During the pandemic,
yes, very much so,
the collector's market went crazy because people were sitting around with money in their accounts and nothing to do.
Yes, you and I both had the same thought on this. And you really, because you can't go out, you can't go talk to somebody, so you're going to sit on your computer and you're going to feed the one thing that you can feed.
And you bought things.
Yeah.
That's what you did. It's what we all did, all collectors. If you ask anybody we know in this business, whether it's Alan at Attorney of Dreams, whether it's Uncle Bob, whether any of the people,
Retro and Rad,
any of the Clinton Tony down at the Tatted Toy guys, you ask any of them, and they would tell you they had a massive boom in collectors and in sales and in everything else because people were bored and had nothing to do. And this means that Mattel, Hasbro, all these companies saw massive sales while most of their workforce was laid off.
Yes.
Because they weren't necessary employees or whatever the heck they were calling it at the time.
You couldn't get them in the factory to press the button.
Right. So here we are. They had these record sales. We know that these companies had record profits.
Absolutely.
It's been largely talked about.
They would come up with a new variant of the boots are different, or the hair is different, or the cape is different.
At no time did I see a breakdown. Although there was a breakdown in the supply chain.
Yes.
What I never saw was a breakdown in the amount of new product announced or new product coming out. So whether it be for Star Wars, Transformers, G.I. Joe, whatever. It's not like 2020, there were no toys made.
This brings back to that memory that I had when you went to go order your Wonder Man He-Man.
Wonder Bread He-Man? Yes.
What did I say, Wonder Man?
Well, that was that's Mattel, but still, you said Wonder Man. But it's Wonder Bread.
It's the same thing.
Behind.
Yeah.
So, in any case, there's, and not only that, but then I had also ordered stuff from Hasbro Pulse at the same time. And one of the things...
Gigawatt.
Yeah.
You got Gigawatt in that collection.
I did. So...
And you saw how wonderful they packed that package, too.
Now, and now, giving Hasbro a little bit positive, their packaging issue has been corrected. I've received some things from Hasbro where they are actually now putting wrapping around it to make sure the package isn't damaged.
Was one of them an apology?
No, there was no apology for the first one, but that's beside the point. But in any case, I can't believe that this company did this, and not only did, but right before Christmas, lays off all these people. And from what I've read in other articles, it was across all brands. No one was spared. And the bottom line is yes,
That's
there's
the issue, the bottom line.
The slumping sales is largely based, and I'm not going to blame this on Hasbro specifically, but on all these major corporations that the media has widely reported as artificially increasing the price of everything. Mm-hmm. That then we can't afford because they're not willing to pay anybody enough to have the discretionary income. And then on top of it, so this type of stuff starts to take a hit, and then their immediate thing is to hurt people more by taking away their income and laying them off and somehow believing that this is going to improve the situation, when ultimately all it does, if you know anything about economics, is it is artificially increasing the bottom line by decreasing expense to make it look better for the investors so that their stock goes up. And that's really what's going on here. You know it, yeah. I know it, a lot of people out there know it, and quite frankly, as somebody who buys a lot from this company, it pisses me off. I'm going to be honest. I don't care if the curse word is there. It pisses me off.
Yeah, we can be angry and still use your product, or angry and still buy your product, but still be angry.
Yeah,
we're still getting our money. So, in an effort of still getting our money, we're going to give you our opinion as well.
Absolutely, and because I buy the product, I have no problem reviewing it and reviewing the company and saying what I feel about it.
Right.
And ultimately, I think this is a bad move.
What are they going to do? Fire us with everybody else?
Well, that's true. And you know, the other thing too is, and we've talked about it on the show before, the products I've been buying from them, I'm seeing a severe reduction in quality.
Oh, funny how those two should go hand in hand.
Because like the plastic quality in some of the Transformers that I've bought over the last couple of years, it's not getting better.
No.
And then they have supply issues. I'm seeing stores that don't have enough stock of what they need, but too much of other things, so they're not sending the right things, and then have the nerve to complain when they're not making sales. And it's sort of like if you see 300 bumblebees on a rack that aren't selling, but the latest things aimed at collectors, there's one of, they're gone, and you can't get them for months at a time. You know, well, this is stupid. You're shooting yourself in the foot and then have the audacity to lay off your employees when you're doing something stupid.
And it's not only that. It's like you're going to sell, okay, I've got 300 bumblebees. They're sitting on the shelf. Nobody wants them, but I'm going to come out with this collector version of Bumblebee that, let's say his paint is green. Okay?
Yeah, right, yeah.
All right, they're going to come out with 10 of those. Those 10 are going to sell. And then you're going to find that one Bumblebee that's painted green sitting next to those 300 or 400 regular bumblebees, but because it's a collector and they're going to go resell it, they're going to bump it up $25, as opposed to taking 300 of those bumblebees, taking 150 of those and painting them green and then releasing them.
Well, and one of the, excuse me, sorry for the cough.
They're creating chase. This is the same thing that happened in the baseball card industry. You create that chase card that you want people to have.
Right.
And they'll go and they'll spend money after money, or dollar after dollar trying to get that one card.
But the thing of it is, Hasbro's not making that money.
No, they're not,
and that's the stupid part. And the other part about that, you know, with the relative to the distribution thing, is if you live in an area where there's Ross or Ollie's Bargain Outlet or some of these companies that will buy leftover stock or whatever, what the collector's market is finding is that months later, after all these figures they couldn't find, they're showing up at these places.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there looking at it going, wait a minute. You couldn't even find these things to the point where you couldn't even order them on Hasbro's website.
Right.
But now they're showing up at a discount retailer that bought them at pennies on the dollar from what a retailer would have paid Hasbro for them. And Hasbro's now complaining that they're not making money. And you're like, well, but everybody was looking for that damn figure. So if you would have just put more of them out, you'd have made money.
And then what's going to happen, which really makes the whole game interesting, is you're going to have somebody who goes and buys in bulk, much like that Hasbro thing that we saw.
Oh gosh, yes, a couple years ago.
That's going to go into Big Lots or Ollie's or whatever the big giant chain store is, buy the whole rack, and then he's going to price them whatever he wants to price them.
Yeah.
You remember way back when we reviewed that G.I. Joe Hiss tank that was absolute trash.
Yeah, and it wasn't made by Hasbro. It was made by a company who bought the license to do it. Yes.
And then those things, Everybody else realized they were trash and like, oh man, we don't want our name on this. We're going to put that into kind of like an Ollie's or whatnot.
Yeah, I just saw where the rest of them showed up at a retail store in our area that's one of those chains. Like
Right.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And some guy's going to go buy that and put it on the shelf because we see him in every independent toy store we review.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a bad product.
And that was a horrible product.
It's oddly enough, I saw those building sets and grabbed them and had them in my hand for your Christmas gift until I realized what they were, and I immediately put them back.
Thank goodness.
Because I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, he has his tank for this, and they were garbage. And I put it back right away. But
if it doesn't say Creo, it's crap.
Yeah. So there you go. And that's, there's all these things that are happening that are clear, that if you know anything about toys, that are a clear error.
Right.
From the manufacturer right from the start. Now, I'm not suggesting that the market itself and what's happening, things that are completely out of Hasbro's control, are not ultimately affecting this. I'm sure that they are, and I'm sure that the layoffs, at least to a certain degree, were necessary. But I have a feeling that if Hasbro was handling their own business correctly, they wouldn't have had to lay off as many as they did.
Yeah.
And that's a part that really bothers me, is that not only are you laying people off, not only are you doing it for a terrible reason at a terrible time when we're all in a lot of trouble, financially, because we know what the economy's doing, but then, it's bad form when you consider that the reason it's happening is not the error of the employees themselves. Because I didn't hear that the CEO resigned.
No, I didn't hear that either.
I didn't hear that any of the board members all of a sudden were fired.
Yeah.
It wasn't anybody at the top that's making the decisions. It's all the worker bees that are out doing the thing. And
that show up to the factory and press the button.
Yeah, I think if
or
they
work the tape machine.
Yeah, if they would have decided 2 board members didn't need to be there and got rid of them, that probably would have covered in terms of money the bunch of people they laid off.
Yeah. And they'd still have their stock options.
Wouldn't that be interesting? Well, there you go. I'm sure we're going to get some negative feedback from this. And you know what? I understand, folks. Everyone has their own opinion. If you hit the dislike button, it is what it is.
You still hit a button, and we appreciate
exactly. You still responded, so it was good for us, and we'll accept it. And I'm a firm believer in people giving their feedback. By all means, if you have a difference of opinion, by all means, put it in the comments. We're fine with that. We are very welcoming of positive discourse.
Yes.
So we would love to have this conversation
and that
if
is,
you have a difference of opinion. And we could change our mind.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We absolutely could change our mind.
And there's the thing. When we come out with a story like this, our object is not to bury anybody.
No,
or
absolutely
put them
not.
into the ground. But we will point things out, and we are willing to have a conversation with you because we have thick skin. Now, as soon as you start insulting one of us...
Yeah, don't do that. We don't want to do that.
Personally... or privately, then
then the gloves come off. Then it gets ugly.
Yeah, then you're going to face what happened to one of these guys who hung out in your store that one time.
Oh yeah, that was not so. In any case, just letting everybody know that if you have a difference of opinion, totally cool. We don't have an issue with that. And to Hasbro, look, guys, we love you. I mean, we love you. We love your product. We love what you do. And heaven knows, I own so much of your product for the last 40, 50 years.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in my house that has the Hasbro tag on it.
Absolutely, and we don't want to see you in these dire straits. So we just ask you to if anybody from Hasbro sees this, please consider the things we're saying. Please actually think about the decisions you're making, especially with regard to what product is hitting the shelves versus what we can't find, because I know I can speak for Larry that there is a portion of the public right now, and you and I, by the grace of God, are lucky to be able to say we're both members of this, that still have expendable income.
Yes.
And as a result, we are spending our expendable income. But if I can't find a Cosmos action figure, for instance, I can't buy one. Mm-hmm. So I want to buy it. I want to buy it. Please let me buy it. And I think that's basically what I'm saying here is help me help you by altering the distribution to allow us to get the things that we want to get. Stop with these exclusives to a store that aren't in every area. Stop with all this nonsense and actually make the product available so that you can make money. And isn't that the goal of any company?
Well,
including us, which is why you should all like, share, and subscribe and hit that notification
Yes.
button and make comments and do all those types of things to help us out so we can quit our day jobs.
Yes. And I'm not going to tie too much of a tail at the end of that because Jim summed it up in his own sort of way. But Hasbro, you make toys. Toys make people happy. Get back to making people happy.
Absolutely. So with that said,
Yeah, I don't know where else to go from there.
for Larry, it's Jim. For Jim, it's Larry. We'll see you next time.